Hey guys, welcome to History Behind the Warrior, and today we're going to be talking about the Mortal Kombat X comic books. I'll be breaking it down issue by issue, so each of them have roughly around 3 chapters. But this will only be happening once every 2 weeks, as next week you guys are going to get a Mortal Kombat X character profile, and then the week after that you'll get another comic book episode. Now the comics take place many years after the events of Mortal Kombat 9, and not long after Shinnok's invasion and defeat. Now the comic book opens up with Kenshi running away from a large group of Red Dragon soldiers. This is because Kenshi had infiltrated the Red Dragon organization, posing as a loyal member of the cult, when he was in actual fact a member of the Special Forces. When the Red Dragons found out about Kenshi's real intentions, they came after him and everything that he held dear. This would include the woman he fell in love with called Suchin, and his young son called Takeda. Kenshi would catch word of this and attempt to save Suchin, but unfortunately when he arrived at the house, Suchin had already been killed. Now Kenshi would find the young Takeda and take the boy to a place where he knew was safe. On his journey, he would be chased by Su Hao and many members of the Red Dragon organization. During the conflict, Kenshi would be injured when an arrow pierced his leg. Su Hao would then proceed to beat Kenshi within an inch of his own life. That is until Su Hao is brutally murdered by Hanzo Hasashi. Hanzo then tells the remaining Red Dragon members to get off the Shirai Ryu territory or suffer the same fate. After saying this, many members of the Shirai Ryu suddenly appear, outnumbering the Red Dragon clan. Hanzo then proceeds to take Kenshi and his young son Takeda to the Shirai Ryu temple. When they arrive at the temple, Kenshi speaks to Hanzo in private, telling Hanzo about his relation to Suchin and Takeda. He then tells Hanzo that he wishes him to teach Takeda, believing that if Hanzo taught Takeda the ways of the Shirai Ryu, he could grow up to be a very strong, disciplined boy. Hanzo would accept the offer, as he was in fact in debt to Kenshi, as the blind swordsman had helped him when he was no longer a revenant. Now the next morning, Kenshi would leave the temple, pursuing after Suchin's killers. Takeda would also attempt to run away, but was found by Scorpion. He tells the young boy that members of the Shirai Ryu don't run, but they fight. And Takeda would then be recruited within the Shirai Ryu for many years, training under Hanzo personally. Now also during this time, Sub-Zero would massacre a group of Red Dragons in China. He would then be ambushed by Kano, who wields a cursed Kami Dogu and cuts Sub-Zero across his face. Now we'll come back to these Sub-Zero events a little later. The story then cuts forward by a few years, where Takeda is still training under Hanzo. He's seen fighting another member of the Shirai Ryu called Fox. The two are sparring partners and have been fighting each other for many years. Scorpion would assign Fox to Takeda as his protector, not knowing that Fox has apparently been hearing voices in his head. Now after a brief sparring session, Scorpion would leave, meeting an unwelcome visitor on his grounds, Raiden. When the Thunder God arrives, he apologizes to Hanzo for noting that he's protecting the dagger he entrusted him with. He then reveals to Hanzo that the dagger is in fact possessed. This actually outrages Hanzo, as he trusted Raiden's judgment. Raiden does apologize, and believes that the dagger is in safe hands. Raiden reveals that there are numerous Kami Dogus, and he has entrusted them to Earthrealm's strongest fighters, believing that they will not have it fall into the wrong hands. But in saying that, he still tells Hanzo to be careful before disappearing. Now during that evening, when many members of the Shirai Ryu have gone to sleep, Fox begins hearing the voices in his head once more, and finally becomes possessed by them. He would grab the cursed Kami Dogu and carve off his own face, in which he would then kill every single member of the Shirai Ryu except Hanzo and Takeda. Fox then takes the captured Takeda to where Hanzo is currently located. Now Hanzo at this point is bound upside down and rendered into a hallucinative state, having him relive the Lin Kuei massacre of the original Shirai Ryu. Fox then reveals to Takeda the truth of Hanzo's past and his struggle with becoming Scorpion, telling him that Hanzo has to fight against himself each day in order to keep himself under control. Fox reveals that he killed all members of this Shirai Ryu to help break his master. Fox then passes Takeda a dagger and encourages the young man to kill his master. Takeda denies this, and the two of them begin fighting. This in turn gives Hanzo enough time to break free of his hallucinations. Hanzo allows himself to be controlled by the hellfire of Scorpion, and he battles the demonically possessed Fox. Fox is surprisingly able to go toe to toe with him, as Fox is now completely consumed by the demon's power. When Scorpion is knocked down, the demonic force begins mocking Scorpion for trusting Raiden, but Fox would suddenly be killed from behind by Takeda, who slices a knife through the back of his neck and cuts his head in half. Hanzo would take the Kami Dogu from Fox's corpse and sadly comfort the shocked Takeda. Hanzo and Takeru would then leave the Shirai Ryu temple, no longer seeing it as safe. The two would then begin travelling to Raiden's Sky Temple, where they needed answers from Raiden to understand what they were dealing with Hanzo wanting answers from Raiden, as he saw him responsible for the deaths of the member of his newly reformed Shirai Ryu. Now when we cut to the Sky Temple, we find out that Raiden has cut himself with one of the Kami Dogus. This in turn allows him to look at different images across the realms, and he realizes in horror that it has begun. Something is coming. And that's really it for the first issue, guys. Like I said, I'd be doing one each 2 weeks. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This has been something kind of different. As you guys know, I haven't really touched on the comic books yet, but there will certainly be more stuff, and I hope you guys enjoyed this first ever episode. Now I'd quickly like to say thank you to all the positive reception I've recently got from the HB Talks episode. It's been an overwhelming amount of support, and it really is just amazing. But as always, guys, put in the comments below to let me know which Mortal Kombat character I should talk about next week, and what topic I should talk about this Sunday on the next episode of HB Talks. But as always, guys, please comment, like, subscribe and share this video with everyone you know. Take care, and I will see you guys next time.